In the heart of San Francisco, where banners hang high and championship memories echo inside the Chase Center, the Golden State Warriors stand at a crossroads. Their dynasty, once untouchable, now faces questions of age, contracts, and chemistry. At the center of this storm is a young forward with limitless potential, Jonathan Kuminga. Drafted in 2021 as part of the Warriors' ambitious plan to bridge the gap between the present and the future, Kuminga was meant to be the heir to the dynasty's throne. Athletic, explosive, and fearless, he was the kind of talent that could redefine Golden State's next era. But 4 years later, the relationship is unraveling. Kuminga's arrival was celebrated as the beginning of something new. With Stephen Curry still in his prime, Draymond Green anchoring the defense, and Klay Thompson returning from injury, the Warriors hoped Kuminga would blend youth with championship experience. Fans watched flashes of brilliance. High-flying dunks, defensive stops, and moments where he seemed unstoppable in transition. Analysts spoke about his ceiling, some comparing him to the next great two-way wing. But in Golden State, talent wasn't enough. The system under Steve Kerr demanded patience, discipline, and trust. And that trust never fully materialized. Kuminga's minutes fluctuated wildly. Some nights he was a spark off the bench, other nights, glued to the sideline. Steve Kerr valued veterans, leaning heavily on experience during playoff pushes. To a young star craving opportunity, the message was clear: wait your turn. But Kuminga didn't want to wait. He wanted a bigger role, not tomorrow, not next season, but now. By 2024, whispers began to surface. Was Golden State holding back one of its brightest prospects? Or was Kuminga simply not ready to carry the load? The tension grew louder with every playoff exit, especially as the Warriors failed to return to the mountaintop. As the summer of 2025 arrived, the stakes were no longer just about playing time. Money and control were on the table. Golden State offered Kuminga several contracts: a 3-year, $75 million deal with a team option, a shorter 2-year, $45 million contract, and another lower-value offer. Each deal favored the Warriors, limiting Kuminga's freedom and flexibility. But Kuminga's camp, led by his agent Aaron Turner, pushed back. They wanted a player option, leverage for the future, and respect for his rising market value. Turner made the rounds on national media, repeating one message: if the Warriors don't meet our terms, Kuminga will take the qualifying offer and bet on himself. The qualifying offer: a 1-year deal that would allow Kuminga to hit unrestricted free agency in 2026. Risky? Yes. But also a bold statement of independence. Inside the Warriors' locker room, the tension was palpable. Veterans like Draymond Green and new arrival Jimmy Butler commanded minutes at the forward position, the very role Kuminga wanted. Steve Kerr trusted his established stars, leaving little room for Kuminga to shine. Reports suggested frustration was boiling over. Kuminga had shown flashes of dominance when given the green light, but the leash always tightened. For a young player dreaming of stardom, it felt like suffocation. Meanwhile, the organization remained torn. Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy Jr. understood Kuminga's value as both a player and a trade asset. But could they risk alienating a potential star in order to preserve the present? As the clock ticked toward October 1st, trade rumors exploded. Sacramento, Phoenix, even whispers of teams like Toronto and Orlando surfaced. Each rumor sent shockwaves through Warriors Nation. Could Golden State really move on from a 23-year-old with superstar potential? And if so, what would they get in return? Some executives saw Kuminga as a centerpiece for their future, a chance to grab a two-way wing on the rise. Others saw him as a gamble, a player unproven in the biggest moments. But one thing was clear: the market was buzzing, and Kuminga's name was at the center of it all. Golden State's identity has always been tied to its stars. Curry, Thompson, Green, now Butler. But behind the glory lies the truth: dynasties do not last forever. The Kuminga saga forced the Warriors to confront a painful reality. Could they transition to the next generation without tearing apart what they'd built? Or would stubborn loyalty to the old guard cost them their future? For Kuminga, the path was clearer. Whether in Golden State or elsewhere, he wanted freedom, opportunity, and recognition. He wanted to be more than a role player in someone else's story. He wanted to write his own. October 1st loomed like a ticking clock. By then, Kuminga had to choose. Accept a new deal, or take the qualifying offer and brace for one last season in the Bay. For Golden State, the deadline meant clarity: either secure him on terms they could live with or prepare for a trade that could reshape their future. Fans held their breath. Analysts debated endlessly. And inside Chase Center, history felt like it was repeating itself. Just as the Warriors once faced difficult decisions with Monta Ellis, Harrison Barnes, and Kevin Durant, now they stood at another fork in the road. The ending was uncertain, but one truth was undeniable: Jonathan Kuminga's time in Golden State was nearing its breaking point. Dynasties are not broken in one moment, nor are they preserved by one player. But sometimes, a single decision can define the future. For Jonathan Kuminga, that decision is now. The Golden State Warriors enter the 2025-2026 season with as much intrigue as uncertainty. Less than 2 weeks away from training camp, a cloud of questions hovers over San Francisco. On the surface, this looks like a team still boasting Stephen Curry, one of the greatest shooters the game has ever seen. They also traded for Jimmy Butler back in February, adding toughness, experience, and a battle-hardened mentality. Yet, for every step forward, there appears to be another step back. Butler's honeymoon period with the Warriors is already over, and the Jonathan Kuminga contract stalemate has turned what should be a smooth preseason into a complicated mess. The Jimmy Butler situation is both fascinating and worrisome. He came to Golden State knowing that his role would be as Curry's sidekick, the Robin to Steph's Batman, as Butler himself put it. The idea was clear: ensure that at least one of the two stars was always on the floor, protecting Curry from carrying the full weight at 37 years old. On paper, it was a brilliant move. Butler thrives on responsibility, and the Warriors saw in him the perfect player to guide the second unit. But here we are, before training camp has even tipped off, and cracks are starting to show. Butler has been vocal about wanting clarity. He wants to know what the bench unit will look like, and more importantly, whether Kuminga will even be part of it. His concern isn't unfounded. Without Kuminga signed, Golden State can't run full practices, can't test rotations, and can't build the chemistry they desperately need before the grind of an 82-game season. Jonathan Kuminga's free agency drama is now the elephant in the room. His situation has dragged on far longer than the Warriors anticipated. Fans expected the deal to be wrapped up in July or August, but here we are in September, and the ink is still missing from the paper. The holdup has consequences that ripple across the roster. It's not just about Kuminga himself, it's about the domino effect on others. De'Anthony Melton and Seth Curry are both widely expected to join, but their signings are being held up until Kuminga's contract is finalized. That means the Warriors effectively have just 9 players under contract, half a roster at best. In a league where continuity and preparation are everything, this delay is borderline catastrophic. From a basketball perspective, Kuminga is not a player you can just wait on without consequences. He has grown into a vital part of the Warriors' future, showing flashes of two-way dominance, versatility, and athleticism that this team cannot easily replace. More importantly, Butler himself has been pushing to work alongside Kuminga. The idea of a Butler-Kuminga-led second unit excites fans and coaches alike. Imagine Butler's grit and leadership paired with Kuminga's explosiveness. It could be one of the most dynamic bench duos in the league. But none of that can be tested right now. The longer this free agency saga continues, fans expected the deal to be wrapped up in July or August, but here we are in September, and the ink is still missing from the paper. The holdup has consequences that ripple across the roster. It's not just about Kuminga himself, it's about the domino effect on others. De'Anthony Melton and Seth Curry are both widely expected to join, but their signings are being held up until Kuminga's contract is finalized. That means the Warriors effectively have just 9 players under contract, half a roster at best. In a league where continuity and preparation are everything, this delay is borderline catastrophic. From a basketball perspective, Kuminga is not a player you can just wait on without consequences. He has grown into a vital part of the Warriors' future, showing flashes of two-way dominance, versatility, and athleticism that this team cannot easily replace. More importantly, Butler himself has been pushing to work alongside Kuminga. The idea of a Butler-Kuminga-led second unit excites fans and coaches alike. Imagine Butler's grit and leadership paired with Kuminga's explosiveness. It could be one of the most dynamic bench duos in the league. But none of that can be tested right now. The longer this free agency saga continues, the smaller the window becomes for these two to actually build that chemistry. Steve Kerr has been candid in the past, admitting that Butler, Kuminga, and Draymond Green haven't always fit well together. Stylistically, they sometimes clash. Draymond's fiery personality, Butler's intensity, and Kuminga's desire to establish himself as a star all create friction. In some ways, that friction can be productive, sharpening iron with iron. But in other ways, it can be destructive. This is where Kerr's leadership will be tested. He needs to find the balance, the sweet spot where egos align with team goals. And he has very little time left to figure it out. Training camp is when rotations are built, trust is formed, and roles are defined. If Kuminga isn't there, if Melton and Seth Curry aren't signed, then Kerr is starting camp with a fractured foundation. The addition of Al Horford provides some stability. At 39 years old, Horford is entering the twilight of his career, but his experience and basketball IQ are invaluable. He doesn't need months of chemistry building, he adapts quickly. Horford has played alongside stars before, from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in Boston to Joel Embiid in Philadelphia. His calm, veteran presence is exactly what the Warriors need in a chaotic offseason. But Horford can only do so much. He isn't the answer to the Warriors' deeper issues. He can anchor the locker room and contribute steady minutes, but he cannot fix the fact that Golden State doesn't know what its full rotation will even look like. The Warriors' current problem is not a lack of talent. It's timing. Teams across the NBA are already back in their facilities, working out, bonding, and preparing for the season. Golden State by Jonathan Kuminga's story with the Golden State Warriors is one of both promise and tension. Drafted in 2021 as the 7th overall pick, he arrived with the reputation of being one of the most athletic and explosive forwards of his class. The Warriors, then fresh off years of championship dominance, saw him as the bridge between their aging dynasty and a new generation. But 4 seasons later, instead of blossoming into the face of the franchise, Kuminga now finds himself described by insiders as absolutely miserable in Golden State. His frustrations with limited playing time, inconsistent trust from the coaching staff, and stalled contract negotiations have brought the relationship to a breaking point. This script explores, in detail, the issues tearing both sides apart, and why separation now feels inevitable. When Kuminga first joined the Warriors, expectations were high. His athleticism, defensive potential, and flashes of scoring made him a tantalizing prospect. Yet, playing on a team led by Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green meant minutes were scarce. Head coach Steve Kerr prioritized veterans who understood his complex motion offense and defensive schemes. Kuminga's minutes often fluctuated wildly. He could play 30 minutes one night and sit on the bench the next. For a young player trying to build confidence, this inconsistency became a major source of frustration. Still, he accepted his role early on, believing patience would pay off. But as the seasons rolled by, the patience began to wear thin. Despite these struggles, Kuminga delivered undeniable moments of brilliance. During the 2024-25 regular season, he averaged 15.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 2.2 assists in about 47 games, even after missing 2 months with an ankle injury. In the playoffs, when Stephen Curry was sidelined with injury, Kuminga stepped up in a big way. Against the Minnesota Timberwolves, he averaged nearly 21 points per game over a crucial 5-game stretch. These performances showcased his ability to shine under pressure and fueled his belief that he deserved a larger role. To him, those flashes weren't anomalies, they were proof he was ready to be a cornerstone player. To the Warriors' coaching staff, however, they were still glimpses rather than consistent production. As reports surfaced in summer 2025, the word "miserable" quickly spread across headlines. Sources close to the player revealed Kuminga felt trapped in Golden State's system. He wanted to play freely, to be trusted as a star, but instead felt like an afterthought behind veterans. For a competitor with ambitions of becoming a multiple-time All-Star, riding the bench in key playoff games was more than frustrating, it was humiliating. The label of being absolutely miserable captured not only his emotions but also the growing sense that this relationship was nearing collapse. The tension boiled over into contract talks. Entering restricted free agency, Kuminga became the focus of Golden State's off-season. The Warriors, wary of luxury tax penalties, offered deals they considered fair. One proposal was a 3-year, $75.2 million contract with a team option on the final year. Another earlier offer had been 2 years for $45 million. On paper, these looked like lucrative deals. But for Kuminga, the fine print mattered more than the numbers. He wanted a player option, granting him the power to decide his future. He wanted protections against being traded without his consent. He wanted to feel like a value piece, not just a tradable asset. His rejection of these deals sent a strong message: control mattered more than security. The standoff introduced a risky but bold option: the qualifying offer. By accepting a 1-year, $7.9 million contract, Kuminga could play out the 2025-26 season and become an unrestricted free agent in 2026. This would free him from the Warriors' control entirely, giving him the chance to test the open market. But the gamble is dangerous. One injury, one per season, or another year of limited minutes could tank his value. Still, the fact that Kuminga and his camp are seriously considering this option shows the depth of his dissatisfaction. He would rather risk millions than feel trapped in a situation where he has no voice. From the Warriors' perspective, their caution is understandable. Kuminga's talent is unquestioned, but his consistency is not. His perimeter shooting remains streaky. His defensive focus sometimes lapses. His fit within Kerr's motion offense, which thrives on spacing and ball movement, is still imperfect. For an organization that has built its dynasty on trust, sacrifice, and cohesion, giving Kuminga star-level control feels like a gamble. Financially, the Warriors are also stretched thin. With Curry and Green still on large contracts and ownership wary of luxury tax costs, handing Kuminga a deal with full player control could cripple their flexibility. To them, their offers reflect both respect for his talent and a safeguard for the team's future. Inside the locker room, the situation has not gone unnoticed. Reports suggest veterans, including newly acquired Jimmy Butler, have urged management to resolve the issue before training camp. Chemistry has always been a hallmark of the Warriors' success, and dragging contract drama into the season risks disrupting that. Younger players watch closely, seeing how the franchise treats one of their own. Veterans, meanwhile, worry about distractions pulling focus from their championship goals. The tension is real, and it could set the tone for the entire season. Other teams are circling. The Phoenix Suns and Sacramento Kings have expressed interest, and rival front offices are monitoring the standoff closely. A sign-and-trade